A lot of students take the traditional route to medical school. They apply in the summer before their senior year of undergraduate studies, and upon completion of their undergrad degree, they proceed directly into medical school. Taking a gap year before medical school, however, is becoming increasingly more common among applicants. Some plan for a gap year from the start and know that they have improvements that they'd like to make in their application. Others may find themselves unintentionally taking a gap year due to a lack of preparation. So, how can you determine if you should take a gap year before medical school? To help you answer this question, in today's video, I'll give you 5 reasons to take a gap year before medical school, so stick around. Hi, I'm Nadine Evans, an admissions associate at BeMo Academic Consulting. Make sure you subscribe on whatever social media channel you're watching this from now so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you'd like us to help you get into medical school, click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. So let's get straight into the 5 different reasons you could take a gap year before medical school. Number 1, to improve your application. This is probably the most common reasons that students decide to take a gap year before medical school, and it can be a really smart decision. Even before you apply to medical schools, you need to determine whether or not you'll be seen as a competitive applicant. If you struggled with some of your courses and have a handful of unfavorable grades, you may already be thinking it would be wise to work on improving your marks before applying to medical school. The best thing you can do is check medical school acceptance rates to see how your test scores and grades compare with that of accepted students from the previous year. For example, if you have a 3.4 GPA and the average accepted GPA is 3.8 at a school that you're hoping to apply to, you likely won't be seen as competitive unless, of course, you can improve your GPA. Other than failing to meet GPA requirements, if you haven't taken medical school prerequisites, taking a gap year will be unavoidable. Medical school prerequisites are courses that you're required to take before you can apply to medical school. Sometimes students think that if they've chosen a biological science major, then they automatically meet the prerequisites, but this often isn't the case. Prerequisite courses are not standardized, meaning that the requirements at one school are not the requirements at all schools. They actually vary greatly, with some schools requiring biology, chemistry, physics, and math, and another school might require those exact same courses, but they also want social science courses, such as humanities and anthropology. While the science courses may be included for a biological science major, you'll likely have to elect to take social science courses. And the same goes for students studying majors outside of biological sciences who may find social science courses are included in the curriculum, but the natural sciences and math courses are not. Another way to improve your application is by improving your extracurriculars for medical school. So this includes experiences that you'll discuss in the AMCAS work and activities section, such as your hobbies, your research experience, clinical experience, and volunteer experience. If, for example, you only had the chance to shadow one doctor, you couldn't get the experience teaching or working in a lab, and you weren't able to participate in meaningful volunteering, you should definitely consider taking a gap year before medical school. Have an honest look at your extracurriculars and put yourself in the admissions committee's shoes. Can you demonstrate a strong passion for medicine that can be evidenced by your experiences? Have you taken the necessary steps to test drive a career in medicine by gaining this shadowing experience and other experiences that put you in a clinical setting? If your answer is no, then wait to apply. Strengthen these experiences and apply in the following application season. So your letters of recommendation are another important medical school requirement, with most schools requiring around 3 letters of recommendation for submission with your application. If you were unable to secure these letters come application season because you couldn't get good experiences, then you'll have to wait before applying. It's worth mentioning, however, that if you do have letters of recommendation on the way, you can still add these letters after submitting AMCAS, as this is one of the 3 sections that you'll be able to modify after submission. So the second reason to take a gap year before medical school is to save money and pay down debt. Medical school tuition is astronomical, with students spending $37,000 on average at public schools and $62,000 at private schools. Did I mention that that's just for 1 year of tuition, fees, and health insurance? These figures don't even take into account the expense of books, transportation, accommodation, and food. Students that borrow money to attend medical school come out with an average debt of $200,000, so it's no wonder that some students decide to take a gap year before medical school to save money and pay down existing debt. This can be a really smart decision for some and a necessary decision for others. When determining whether it's right for you, you'll have to assess your financial situation now and in the future. If you have funding opportunities available through scholarships, grants, parental support, or loans, you may not find the financial benefit of 1 year's work worth the delay of beginning your career. However, if 1 year off allows you to pay off or make a significant dent to your existing debt, or allows you to save money for accommodation and apply to grants and scholarships, then it definitely can be worthwhile. Number 3, to study for the MCAT. 7.5 hours is no joke, and if you haven't learned how to prepare for the MCAT, you could find yourself with a really unfavorable MCAT score. In addition to your GPA, how you score on the MCAT will have a huge impact on whether or not you're invited to an interview and offered acceptance. Taking a gap year before medical school would allow you the opportunity to dedicate more study and preparation time for the MCAT so you can work on improving any unfavorable scores. If you haven't taken the MCAT yet, but know that your schoolwork or other obligations will negatively affect your study time and ability, it's best not to take it. As a general rule of thumb, you should only take the MCAT when you're 100% ready and prepared to take it and are scoring consistently well repeatedly. Number 4, to take a mental break. Your mental health is imperative to your success as a medical doctor. Just like when you're on a plane and you're watching the safety video and they tell you to put on your own mask first before helping others, the same principle applies. In order to help other people, you have to first help yourself. If you're feeling exhausted and burnt out, then you may not be able to handle the extensive workload, the time, and the stress of medical school. In this case, it's better to take a break now before you apply to medical school rather than having to drop out halfway because your stress levels are out of control. The 5th reason to take a gap year before medical school is if you were rejected from medical school. Facing rejection is difficult for all students, and it's totally acceptable to take some time off before reapplying. What's important is that you dissect your application and try to determine why you were rejected. If you're going to take a gap year before reapplying, you need to formulate a plan so you know what you're going to do during this break. With an honest, critical look at your application, you may determine that your GPA and MCAT score wasn't competitive, you didn't have enough experience in the medical field, or even that you rushed your application and didn't consult a medical school advisor. If you applied too late in the application cycle, you may have been placed on a medical school waitlist simply because all interview spots were already taken and in turn, offers of acceptance were already handed out. What's important is that you're proactive in your decision-making approach. So don't wait until the last minute to determine whether or not you're going to take a gap year, because if you decide too late, you'll be completely panicked trying to find other opportunities. Take this time to regroup, strengthen your weaknesses, and reapply with a stronger, better application. Now, one quick question that I want to address that we're getting asked by a lot of students is, will a gap year before medical school hurt my chances of acceptance? So no, a gap year won't hurt your chances of getting into medical school as long as you use this time productively. So I'd first want to ask you, what is your reason behind taking a gap year? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your plans during this break? If you took a gap year so that you could learn snowboarding in the Swiss Alps, you're not going to convince anyone that this time was well spent in terms of your pursuit for medicine. Sure, it might have been fun and maybe you're now an expert snowboarder, but it doesn't show your dedication to improve yourself as a physician. A gap year shouldn't simply be thought of as time off. Make sure that you have a reason for taking a gap year and you can demonstrate to the admissions committee why it was beneficial for you to take it in the first place. Self-improvement is key and will always be held in high regard. So whether you're gaining experience in the medical field, participating in important research, improving your MCAT score, or volunteering in your community, as long as you can explain what you did, what you learned, and why it was beneficial, a gap year before medical school may be the best thing for you. All right, so this will wrap up another one of our videos. So please subscribe, like, and leave a comment if you have any questions that I didn't cover in today's video. Are you going to take a gap year before medical school? Let me know in the comment section. Finally, if you want us to help you get into medical school, click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.